Hello everyone. With this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the navigation features of PowerPoint. What I have here is just a few slides, one I've called main menu with a couple of text entries here, and then one called slide 1, which is the first slide of the actual training, slide 2, a slide called pencils, and a slide called pencil training. So we're going to set up navigation to these. The simplest method to use is you can just simply have text here that you can navigate to by setting up a hyperlink to slide 1 or slide 2. So the way that you would do this in using a text as a hyperlink is to simply select the text, click Insert, Hyperlink, and in this case it's important to remember to know the concept of what's called an anchor. In other words, where are we going to whenever we click slide 1? So we're going to locate our anchor within the slide titles as slide 1 in this case. Click OK, and then OK. So you'll notice that the slide is in blue text with an underscore, which shows that it is a hot link, and that's kind of a standard way of identifying hot links. So let's set up slide 2. So we will insert hyperlink. Our anchor is now going to be slide 2. OK and OK. So we could set up all the other slides in this same fashion, but let's go ahead and test this first. Obviously, with any programming, and we're actually programming this PowerPoint, you don't want to go too far until you test it. Well, the way you test it in this case is simply running the slideshow to make sure the links work. So we'll come down, hit slideshow, and there we are. There's the first one. We're going to click slide 1, and it does go to slide 1. Well, there's no way to get back, so I'm going to hit the escape key, which takes us back into our program or our slideshow. Go back to the main menu and then hit the slideshow again. In this case, we'll hit slide 2, click, and it does go to slide 2. Hit the escape key, going to go back to the main menu. Now this takes a while to be able to set all this up, and there's certain times that you want to be able to select text and hyperlink to areas of your presentation. But there is a more efficient way of setting up navigation links, and where your navigation links will be on every slide automatically. And the way you do that is to go to the master slide and modify it. So we're going to view slide master. Now any changes we make on slide master are going to show up on every slide. So here's where we're going to place what's called action buttons. So it's a little bit different setup, but essentially it does the same thing. In this case, we're going to go to the slideshow option from the title bar, and then go scroll down to action buttons, and we're going to select next slide. And now we're going to come down and draw where we want the next slide to be. So we'll come up just below the area for the slide and then draw by holding down the left mouse button and then drawing the button that's going to advance to the next slide. So now in this case, the navigation says it's set up to hyperlink to the next slide whenever you click the mouse. So we'll click OK. Well, it'd be nice to have a previous slide, so that's what we'll do next. So we'll go up to slideshow, action buttons, go to previous slide. Now there's you want your buttons to be the same size so that you'll have a consistent look. The easiest way to do that, it's pretty close to being exactly the same size. Go to the top left of the button that you just created, hold down the left mouse button, and then drag to the bottom right. And it's pretty close to the same size. You'll notice it's going to hyperlink to the previous slide whenever you click it. So we'll click OK. Now we have to move it from on top of our next slide. So just drag it, and we'll try to drag it over here a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to put in one more button so we can advance to the next slide and the previous slide. But if we have quite a few slides, and it might be more a convenient way of going to or back to home or back to the first slide. There's an action button for that, so let's draw it in. Go back to slideshow, action buttons, and there's one called home. Or we could use first slide in this case, but let's just click home. We're going to draw it as the same size again. Now it automatically defaults to the first slide because that's usually where the home slide is. And when you click the mouse, it'll go there. So we'll click OK. Now we'll drag it to kind of in the middle of them. Now we've set up our navigation. So I'm going to select all three now and kind of center it. That looks pretty close. So now we're going to run this to see if it works. I'll just go get back out of slide sorter view, slide master view, go back to normal. Now we're going to run our slideshow. Let's see if this works. You notice the buttons do show up on every single slide. So we want to go back to the first slide or the main menu and make sure everything works now, because that's where it'll start from. So here we are. Let's go to the next slide, which should be slide 1, and it is. Next, slide 2, next, slide 3, and so forth. We'll go to the previous slide, and you'll see that it does work. So we'll scroll down to, maybe that's probably I think that's the last slide. So the most convenient way to go home is simply to hit the home key, home button. And there we go. So I'm going to click out of this because there's a couple of other features of how you can use the navigation tool. I'm going to insert a graphic now. In this case, it's simply going to be some clip art. And I'm just going to select a picture called pencils. And then click insert. And kind of, now we're going to what we're actually going to do is go to some information about sentences, but we're going to make this graphic a hyperlink also. So we'll come back up to, in this case, we're going to insert a hyperlink. It's because it's going to be a little bit different location. What I have done is set up a link to a Wikipedia site that explains pencils. So I've set up a link to Wikipedia, and I'm going to simply link to that. So I'm going to slide over to where I have the Wikipedia and simply copy that hyperlink to the clipboard. And we'll go back to our presentation now. And now we're going to link to, I'm going to paste it. And now when we click that graphic, it's actually going to go to a web link. So we'll click OK. So let's test it out. So we're going to stay on this page. Click the slideshow. And now when we click the link, it's going to go to a website. So this could be any hyperlink to any location that's on the web. In this case, one that explains pencils. So I'm going to close out the browser. Now we're back at our PowerPoint slideshow. escape out of it. Now there's one more way of using this. In this case, I want to go to some pencil training, if you will. What this is going to set up how to run a link to another PowerPoint presentation. So what we're going to do is we'll select the text. We'll then go up to slideshow, and instead of action buttons, we're going to go to action settings, and then we're going to hyperlink to, not next slide in this case, but we're going to select other PowerPoint presentation. And it navigates to the last site that you went, or the last folder that you went to. In this case, it's just simply on my desktop. And I have a piece of just a slideshow called Pencil Training. Select it, click OK, and then OK. So now what's going to happen whenever we run the slideshow and actually want to run our pencil training? You click it, and it actually goes to another slideshow, comes up in slideshow view, and then there'll be a series of slides on whatever you did to talk about pencil training. Now obviously you would want to navigate back to the original slide, and you would have to set that up prior to using it. And you would do that the same way that we just did here. So I'm just going to escape out of it. Escape again. So now you would set the PowerPoint presentation up that you navigated to in the very same fashion that you set this one up. So that shows you a number of different ways that you can use the navigation features, the action links, and the action settings from within PowerPoint. And that just scratches the surface on the power of navigation that you have. There's a lot more that you can play around with as you put together your presentations for your training pieces. So by understanding how the navigation works within PowerPoint, this will give you some of the information that you need to set up your GUI, your GUI, or the PowerPoint slideshow that's going to be your training interface or your platform of delivery for the trainings that you're going to produce this semester. So that's all for now.